Welcome to another video for the Creative iMedia Toolkit, and we're going to look at actually creating our visual identity, so basically making our logo with the company name and strapline, hopefully. So the mark band, it's sort of broken up into two sections, so you have technical skills and effectiveness and properties and formats, and I'm going to explore each part just so you know exactly what you need to do. So skills to make something, we generally like to see a before, a during and an after, or at least a before and after with some explanation of what skill you've used. The back example's a PowerPoint, this one's been done on Word as well. And the reason I've showed you two ways of doing this is because what the exam board don't like to see is they don't like to see everybody using the same template or everybody doing it in the same kind of way. If you was given a template, you could get into trouble because you're not allowed to do that. You've got to make your own template. Like this table, you've got to make your own if you want. And what the exam board would expect to see is different fonts, different colours, different individualisation, different categories. It would be slightly different if you've made your own choices and done this yourself. So templates are fine as long as you've made them and it's done with your choices and your ideas in mind. So this shows progression of skills. However, it does say use of technical skills to create the visual identity is effective. So you could do all the skills in the world, but if they're not effective, you're not hitting the mark band. Or you could have limited effectiveness, adequate effectiveness, or effective. So you've got to think about stuff like simple shapes, colours and fonts. Are they used? Are these skills applied effectively? So to delve into that a little bit further, if you look at this, I've used a different example to home fit. I've used a local newsagent's convenience store called Brownhill Newsagents. So again, talking to the subject advisor for iMedia, he said not only are we looking for skills, we're looking for an effective finished product at the end. So this one on the left hand side is basic. It's Brownhill Newsagents. You can't really tell what the company is because it just says B&N. And as we've discussed before, for a new company, that's not very good because you don't know what the company is. However, if we move on to example number 2, which is more adequate, you've got a shape which represents a hill, and it says Brownhill Newsagents, and it says cheap news and shopping. Now, we've applied text skills there because we've applied a strapline and we've applied the name of the company. Now, the company name stands out more than the strapline, which is good. However, think about the wording. Cheap news and shopping. Is cheap shopping, is the word cheap appealing? Have we used things effectively? Probably not. So if you look at the next example, this time there's more of a colour scheme built into it because we have a brown hill going over the top. We've also added a bit of colour to the name of the company or the name of the shop to make it look better, and the strapline's got a little bit more thought to it. Local news and convenience. So it doesn't give that cheap and tacky feel to the shop. There's a bit more thought gone into it, and we've put the skills together, put the font together, but it's beginning to become a little bit more effective. Got effective colour on the top, but we've also got a little image of a smile in there as well to obviously make the audience and the people looking at this feel happy or feel like it's a good place to go. So that's just a few ideas on making your visual identity more effective by using colours, shapes, thinking about the wording, lots of different elements which you can build into that. So, properties and formats. Two things we generally look at is the DPI and the file format. Now, again, it says properties and formats are to be clear to be in the top mark band, and that's without doubt. Now, when I'm looking at students' work, if I don't want any doubt whatsoever, I want it explicit. And if there's a little box and it says what DPI have I selected and why, that is better. Why have I selected 300 dpi? This doesn't matter as much on the logo, because if you understand what a vector graphic is, you will understand that mathematical points and straight lines, increasing the size and decreasing the size doesn't lose quality. However, 300 dpi is good practice to start off with. Also, what file format have I selected and why? So, if I've used an SVG, that's great. Clearly, without doubt, obvious. Well, if you haven't explained why you've used SVG, there can be a little bit of doubt. We're only talking 1 or 2 sentences explaining why you've used that. So if you've used a PNG, that's fine, but why have you used that? If you decided to change it to a JPEG and drop the DPI to 72 for the internet, why have you done that? So that just makes things a little bit more clear. So if we have a look at the famous knowledge organiser, on page number 1, you've got your visual identity there. So you know what the key components are to make your visual identity. And if you flick over to page 2, on page number 2, we have an exporting graphics section. And it just reminds you for logo, print and web, what are suggested file formats. So on the logo, an SVG, and it's good practice to start at 300 dpi. So hope you've enjoyed that tutorial and you've got some ideas on what you need to be doing to make an effective logo with appropriate properties and file formats. I'll catch up with you on the next video tutorial. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.